Hello everybody, welcome back to another lockpicking video, and today we're going to have a look on this lovely ABUS 7240. It is a green belt level lock in the LPU belt ranking system, and this was actually the first lock I ever picked on my channel, and today I want to come back to that lock and share everything I know about it with you, and hopefully it will help somebody to get this lock open quickly. And yeah, let's start right into it, and we're going to have a look on the outside, on the inside, and how to pick it. So off we go. So what you see here is the bottom of the lock with the keyway where the key goes in, and yeah, the first pin basically. And what you can see here is a paracentric keyway. So there's no straight line in it, but yeah, if you want to work on the pins, you really have to follow that keyway and work your way through the warding of the lock, which restricts this keyway. First of all, let's talk about tension. So you could put a tensioner on the opposite side of the pins, what we would call bottom of the keyway. Here in my picture it's on the top, but yeah, most of the people watching this will recognize this as block tensioning. And yeah, these tensioners work fine, but they restrict your room that you have in the keyway. So what I prefer is top of the keyway tension or pin side tension, as shown on these pictures here, either with a bent tensioner or a straight tensioner. And I will be actually using the straight tensioner in 1 millimeter to get this open. And with that we can apply tension, and you need somewhat medium tension, but you will also want to vary this tension and work with the spools, what they tell you. So I will show more on tensioning in the video when I pick it. Let's have a look on the inside and what pins we're actually expecting in that lock. So as you can see, we have a 6-pin lock. You see 6 key pins and 6 matching driver pins. Only chamber 1 has a standard driver pin, all others are spooled driver pins, and all the key pins are standard. One has to keep in mind that these pins are rather small due to the small form factor of the lock. This is not a full door lock, but a small padlock. And if you put a regular pin from a door lock next to it, which I have shown here, you see how much smaller they are and what room this actually gives to lift these pins. So you need not large motions, but only small motions to set the pins. In this picture here, you see now the core with the key pins in. These you don't actually see, but on top I put all the driver pins from 1 to 6. And what you see is how far they sit inside the lock at rest. Basically, this is how it looks inside the lock when we start picking. Our goal is now to lift all pins as high that they are flush with the core. Some pins will be lifted higher than the others. For example, in chamber 6 the pin needs only a little bit of lift, while in chamber 1 that pin needs quite some lift. What is interesting to note here is the what we call pin effectiveness. So how much of the security driver pin is actually visible to the core, or which will block the core rotation. For example, here in chamber 6, only the top of the spool blocks the rotation of the core, and the spool part will never be active. While for other chambers, like if you look on chamber 3, the full driver pin is active and blocks the rotation of the core. So enough about pin effectiveness. Let's put it in a vise and I will talk you through a pick. So finally we're going to pick it. It's in a vise now. Here's the key again with the bitting. Works just fine. And yeah, what I did is I have drawn a line down here so you can see the movement of the core and the false set. And yeah, I'm using this tensioner here in 1 millimeter, and I'm using actually the smaller edge here, which fits perfectly into the keyway and has very little slop and gives me very good core control. So I tension clockwise, and then I'm using a rather thick pick in 0.6 millimeters, the PN07, which has a medium steep profile. And with that I can pick it now, and I will be working my way around the keyway here. And if you look on the pin effectiveness, which I put up here, you would assume that pin 1 is binding first because it's a standard, yeah. But if we look on it, it is jumping up again. That's a nice thing about pin 1, you can actually see what it's doing. And yeah, this is not a binding pin. How come? Well, in chamber 6 and chamber 3, the thick part of the spool is at shear line at rest. Yeah, you can see that here. And yeah, let's actually go to the very back of the lock and just brush over the pins, and you feel something stiff in the back. And let's actually attack this. So pin 6, we're on it. So you just pull your pick until you are on the tip of pin 6. Maybe you overshoot it a bit. That's not too bad. Just keep the tension high as long as you're feeling for the pins. And now we just pull the pick onto pin 6. Just find the very tip and then gently push on pin 6. So we heard a good click and pin 6 doesn't feel stiff anymore. So let's keep brushing, and we feel, yeah, pin 3 is now stiff. So let's pick it, good click. And now pin 1 feels stiff, our standard pin. Let's push on it. And you see the core movement. We are now in a false set. So let's feel in it again. And directly I feel pin 2 is binding, very stiff now. And what I do now is I push on it and I release a bit of tension. And yeah, as you can see, the core wants to move back, which we call counter rotation. And I let go a bit of the tension while pushing. And now I got pin 2 set. That doesn't feel stiff anymore. If I brush over it, I jiggle test that it feels soft. So I keep searching, just go into the very back of the lock. I will feel something stiff somewhere. And for me, that is pin 5 now. And I push on it, and again, I get counter rotation. I keep pushing, and I get a good click. And again, we are in false set. A false set always means something good because all the key pins are standard. If you would overset something, you would lose the false set. But the lock is not open yet. And we picked all pins, but pin 3 only moved with the thin part of the spool in the beginning. So let's push on it again. It feels stiff now. Gives me counter rotation. And now we have it set. But the lock is not open yet. So let's feel for all the pins again. And I just felt that pin 3 needs a little bit more. And we are open. So now you would be able to gut the lock and look at the insides. I will not do that today. I'll just focus on the picking. And yeah, let's cut away here, and I will come back to you with some more tips and tricks around this lock. So I hope my example picking here helped you a little bit already in understanding what to do with this lock, and I talked you through all the bits and bobs. And yeah, what I really want to tell you with this lock is really just tension control is so important with this. Learning how to pick spools, just pushing on the pins, and all of a sudden the core turns back and you have to release of the tension. That is so important. And then finding the pins just from the backside really helps a lot as well. And yeah, if still the lock doesn't open, what else can you do? Well, take a close look on the pin on your key. This is my key now, but what you can learn from it is here are 6 cuts on it. And yeah, for me, the first cut is a very short key pin, then the third cut is a very long key pin, and all the others are in between basically. The fourth is also short again. And this already tells you how far you have to push on the pin. Like on 3, you basically don't have to push on it. You have to be careful that you don't overset it. On 4, you have to push on it quite a bit. And so on, yeah. With that, you can help yourself already a bit. Maybe you can put the key next to you, and this can help you. Also, with that, you can check your pick profiles. If the lock doesn't open immediately, maybe you try another pick profile, like this very steep hook. This was the medium hook I used before. This is a very steep hook. Maybe it works better, but maybe also you cannot move through the keyway so good anymore. Maybe also a half diamond, and with that you can check if you can reach all pins. And like this, it might tell you already, well, if I want to pick pin 4, I'm oversetting pin 3, so maybe I need to do something else, need to use another pick profile and so on. And if that doesn't help you already, here are some more tips to orientate yourself in the lock. By now I can feel where the pins are, but if you're just getting started, you can mark the pick a little bit to see where you are in the lock. And for that I just draw a line where the key ends up in the lock. This is at the shoulder of the key. And what you then can do is that you grab your pick and you line it with the cuts. Yeah. So right now I'm on the 6th cut, way back in the lock. And then you draw a line on your pick. You go to the 5th cut, you draw a line on your pick, and so on. You do that very careful for all the pick pins, basically all the cuts. And this can help you then quite a bit to orientate yourself in the lock. So if you go in, you can feel something around here, and then you look at the pick and you know, this is the first marking, this is the 6th cut, the 6th pin. Here's the 5th pin. Here's the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and here's pin 1. And this can help you a lot if you get started or starting out. Yeah? And this is some visual feedback that can really help you to find the pins and so on. Just feel where it roughly should be, and then you know you're not picking the warding only. So that can help you. If the lock still doesn't open, I would recommend, as this is one of the first locks you might engage that you can actually take apart. Take it apart, and then you can change how much pins you have in there. You can just remove the last 3 and you end up with a 3-pin lock, which is much simpler to pick, and you can quickly understand what the lock wants to tell you. This is what we call progressive pinning. And if you want me to do a video about progressive pinning or disassembling this lock, just let me know in the comments and I can see what I can do for you. Yeah, but I hope all these tips together will help you get this ABUS open or a similar lock. And yeah, let me know in the comments how it goes for you. What tips helped you with this lock. And yeah, hope to see a lively discussion. Thanks everybody for watching, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye!